pride, pain, and the pursuit of fairness. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Ballafrica, where we tell Africa's football stories from an African perspective. Today's episode is very difficult to record, not because African football failed, very far from it. This is difficult because two of Africa's proudest World Cup stories, Cape Verde and Egypt, came to an end against the reigning world champions, Argentina. Yet, for many supporters across Africa and across the world, the conversation after both matches wasn't just about football. It was about officiating, video assistant referee VAR, consistency, and whether every team truly receives equal treatment on the football's biggest stage. Today, we're going to examine those questions fairly, professionally, and respectfully, because that's what football deserves. Let's start with Cape Verde, a team that earned the world's respect. Think about this little nation. Think about what they accomplished. A small nation of fewer than 600,000 people, making its first World Cup appearance, drawing Spain, drawing Uruguay, and then pushing the defending world champion into extra time. That alone is extraordinary. Argentina eventually won 3-2 thanks to an extra time goal after relentless pressure, but Cape Verde never looked intimidated. They matched the world champions with courage, organization, and belief. Even Lionel Messi acknowledged after the match that Argentina knew beforehand that Cape Verde would be an extremely difficult opponent and praised their performances throughout the tournament. There were moments in the match that Cape Verde supporters still question today, particularly decisions involving physical challenges, penalty appeals, and VAR consistency. Were those decisions wrong? Some analysts believe they were. Others believe the referee applied the laws of the game correctly. That's precisely the issue. The lack of consensus has become the story. Now let's talk about Egypt. Egypt, 20 minutes from history. For nearly 70 minutes, Egypt produced one of the finest performances ever by an African nation against the defending world champions. Now, questionable because Cameroon kind of did the same in 1990. Organized, disciplined, fearless. At 2-0, Egypt looked destined for one of the greatest victories in African football history. Then, everything changed. A lengthy VAR review overturned what made many believe was a legitimate Egyptian goal. A late Egyptian penalty appeal was rejected. Argentina scored 3 goals in the closing stages to complete an incredible remontada, a comeback win of 3-2. Egypt's coaching staff and Football Federation did not hide their frustration, publicly criticizing the officiating and raising concerns about the application of VAR. Here is the biggest question: consistency. The word, again, consistency. Let's be very careful here. At Ballafrica, we don't deal with conspiracy theories. We deal with facts. Is there proof that FIFA instructed referees to help Argentina? No. There is no verified evidence proving that. But is there legitimate debate about the consistency? Absolutely. Former FIFA referee Mark Wattenberg questioned aspects of officiating. Former England manager Sam Allardyce and several television analysts openly criticized key decisions. Meanwhile, other referee experts argue that controversial VAR decisions could be justified under the current laws of the game. However, are referees applying common sense? Do referees who understand the law of the game understand the game itself? This has been a rising question that many have asked, and a lot of people request consistency in these decisions. If you apply it to one team, you got to equally apply it to the other team. And the key word here is equal application of the law. That tells us something important. This isn't a simple black and white issue. It's a debate about consistency and transparency. When respected experts cannot agree on major decisions, supporters naturally ask genuine questions. Is Argentina or the great Lionel Messi favored at World Cup and at big games? This is perhaps the biggest question circulating across football world today. Has Argentina historically benefited from controversial decisions? The truth is, the debate did not begin in 2026. It existed during the 2022 World Cup. It has appeared during Copa America tournaments. And now, after matches against Cape Verde and Egypt, it has resurfaced again. Lionel Messi, unquestionably one of the greatest football players to have leave this planet. His greatness does not require favorable refereeing, yet, because he is football's big icon, every close decision involving Argentina receives enormous criticism, and referees are under pressure to act correctly and make the rightful decisions. However, does he get favor because of his status? That's an open question. I'll allow you to make the conclusion of that one. Supporters point to controversial penalties in previous tournaments, lenient discipline decisions, and the perception that 50-50 calls often seem to fall Argentina's way. On the other hand, many referee analysts argue that these decisions were technically correct according to the laws of the game. Perception is not proof, but repeated controversy creates perception, and perception can be damaging for football itself. That's why transparency. If football wants supporters to trust VAR completely, then perhaps the next evolution should be allowing fans to hear the conversations between referees and the VAR room, much like in rugby and cricket already do. Greater transparency protects everyone, the officials, the players, and the integrity of the game. Everything on the table, nothing under the table. What Africa should take away from this? I hope African fans don't remember these matches only because of controversy. Remember something bigger. Cape Verde stood toe-to-toe with the reigning world champions. Egypt came within minutes of eliminating them. These were not lucky performances. These were performances that showed African football has reached another level. The gap is closing. Perhaps it has already closed. The world is no longer surprised when African teams compete with giant traditional teams. Now, the expectation is that they can beat them. That may be the greatest victory of all to take home. To Egypt, hold your heads high. You represent your nation with courage, discipline, and tremendous quality. Mo Salah and your team, well done. Your performance earned the respect of African football fans around the world, regardless of the final score. To Cape Verde, you arrived as determined newcomers and left one of the greatest stories. You inspired millions, proved that population does not determine football greatness, and give every small football nation hope that dreams can become reality. And to African football, do not allow disappointment to overshadow progress. 9 African nations reached the knockout rounds of the World Cup. Our players competed without fear. Our coaches demonstrated tactical excellence. Our supporters filled stadiums with unmatched passion and colorfulness of our beauty, African beauty. The future of African football has never looked brighter. History will remember that Argentina advanced, but history should also remember that Africa stood shoulder to shoulder with the defending world champions of the World Cup. And that, perhaps, is the greatest sign yet that African football's greatest chapter is still being written. Tomorrow, Morocco is going to face another giant, France. And Morocco, we look on you to keep the dreams ahead. We look on you to take Africa beyond the semifinals. Thank you for watching or listening to Ballafrica. If you enjoyed today's discussion, subscribe, share this episode, and join us next time as we continue telling Africa's football stories, because no one tells them better than Africa itself.